Hello everyone, I'm Z9 Fanfics, and today I have something I discovered that I think it fits both interesting and weird due to it being, it's Genshin Impact. I was just trying to find anything really, because, I'm trying to find my own. The only stories I've read that I haven't found myself were Loud House Revamped and My Immortal. Those are the two ones that I've read that I have not didn't find myself. Everything else I discovered myself. So I found this myself going through. I went to Genshin Impact. I sorted by M because it's just I don't find anything good when I'm looking at like the kid friendly stuff. I don't know if it's just because I just darker themes. Obviously, there's smut. I mean, you can see it right here. There'll be more Genshin smut tomorrow, if that's more to your taste. But I scrolled through just to see if this was just because it's about. I don't know. I've never played Genshin Impact, so there's characters in the desert. They have no water, no food, and so they have to take extreme measures. I didn't know what that meant, so I did a quick scroll through. Just really scrolled through it, just to see what it looked like. Didn't want to spoil anything. And it looks like there's potentially, I say potentially, cannibalism. And you do see that horror is a tag here. See right there. So, it seems like it's weird. Seems like it's interesting. I want to start reading more because all the ones I've read so far are just kind of smut. And, I like sex scenes, I guess, as much as the next guy, but it's not exactly the most interesting to just see he stuck it in her area 1,000 fucking times. Would like to see some horror stuff. I would like to see how they play horror, especially because like in a novel format, I don't really know how you make someone scared, but I'm really interested to see people try it. I'm gonna try to get some Resident Evil fan fictions in here because I'm sure if I go to M, if I sort it by like mature rating and I do mature rating and then I do the tag like horror, then I'm sure I could find some stuff that's like bodies hanging from meat hooks kind of things. Anyways, this is Ominous Soup by Grand Leviathan. Really fuck with that name. The Sumeru Desert is an inhospitable place. I was probably underselling it, really. It was a desert in every sense of the word, with the only true life being roaming bandits and scavengers, and some small insects if you were lucky. With a wave of sandstorms having passed through the area, though even they were in short supply, and critters even more so, leaving very little life about to be seen among the rolling dunes. Aether hadn't thought much about it when he accepted a commission to find some lost treasure, a commission that Paimon had been ecstatic to see. With her shiny hoarding tendencies and all that. They'd packed plenty of food, water, and other necessary supplies, and just before setting off had picked up Layla on the way, who was eager to help them out. Nahida had been passing by and, too, was eager to be assistance. After all, he'd done for Sumeru, and so came along with a chirp and little more than a shooting gesture to Wanderer. Of course, in all the rush to get going and not wanting to make his friends feel like they'd been burdened, intentional or not, he had forgotten one rather crucial thing. They had doubled the people without doubling their supplies. An elementary mistake, but in Sumeru's desert, a very, very lethal one. To make matters worse, he didn't realize his conundrum until they were well out into the depths of the desert, equipped with shovels and his anemo powers to dig away at the sands, looking for the treasure, going off little more than marked treasure maps and old stone pillars that vaguely marked out where the ruins were. Couple all that labor with the hot sun, and their water supplies ran low fast, not to mention that their food was quickly consumed to sustain their labor, leaving them soon with nothing left to eat. Paimon's so hungry. Stay strong, Paimon. I'm sure we'll figure out something soon, Nahida smiled, only for a tummy rumble to make her grimace. Grimace shake reference? Aether felt his own stomach rumble too. At first it had been simple aches or grumbles for food, but after a full day out in the Sumeru deserts, his hunger was starting to become hard to ignore. Already he could feel his strength starting to wane the longer they stayed out here. How his arms felt weak and hollow, how his legs were sluggish and heavy, how his head hung forth before he corrected his posture to stop himself from getting a sore neck. The others too were clearly showing signs of fatigue, Paimon had ceased flying, and when she wasn't away in her pocket dimension, she was resting on his shoulders since he was the strongest. An excuse made only because both Layla and Nahida refused to let her use them as pack mules. Nahida herself followed by his side, smiling like always, and with a boundless, almost innocent wonder to her. But even she seemed to get lost in thought more than once, or had to stop lest her quivering stomach hurt too much. Layla had it best since she ate just before they set off, but between her poor sleep schedule and overall poor health, she almost left behind more than once, after having collapsed into the sand and just not had the strength to get back up. Soon he feared he might do the same. Just laying down was dangerously tempting. The sand was so warm and almost soft in this region. The hills were gentle and the enemies were incredibly sparse, not even treasure hoarders living out there. Teleportation would be an option, except for reasons beyond his knowledge, they had all stopped working. It happened once before due to what Mona called astral interference, but what that meant was beyond him. Only that it came at the worst possible time. The best case scenario for them now was just to keep moving and hope it would disappear soon, allowing him to whisk everyone home. What is it? Oh, I was like, why is that like that? What I would kill for some meat right now? Either mumbled out then, if only to fill the quiet. Yeah, Paimon bemoaned from atop his shoulders. Some fried pork on a bed of rice, some chives sprinkled on top with a drizzle of soy sauce, maybe some chicken stir-fry, noodles, and tons of veggies, maybe lumps of beef skewered, roasted over fire until nice and char-grilled, slathered in barbecue sauce, and Paimon, Layla whined out then, frowning sadly at the fairy. You're just making us even hungrier. Sorry, I just really, really want to eat some tasty, juicy melt in your mouth, me. Layla groaned at the mental image, smacking her lips only to shake her head, attempting to remain focused, but no good. Her mind clearly began to wander after mere seconds. Nahida didn't fall to such temptations at least, and kept an eye on her, though the thought of food clearly lingered on her mind too, even if unconsciously. Aether couldn't help but indulge in such thoughts as well. Vegetables would be nice, yes, but meat was truly remained on his mind. Spicy chicken layered with mayonnaise and bundled up in a wrap, pork braised and served by the bowlful, beef grilled and skewered, every type of meat imaginable floated through his mind, reminding him of past instances of him eating them. But if the tough and dry ones, the juicy melt-in-your-mouth ones, or even just the plain and unremarkable ones, he'd take any so long as he could get in his stomach right now. Just then they crested a hill, and he spotted it. A hill at Churlane Camp. It was clear the hill at Churls ruled it, given the trademark spikes wedged into the sand around the perimeter, and the various crates, although this one had clearly been abandoned. The crates were all broken into, and the single hut had collapsed in on itself, part of the wall blown away and revealing nothing but scraps of wood remained within, not even a carpet or blanket left for them to scavenge. Still hope compelled Aether forth, and he heard the others follow, the four of them surging over to the boxes and prying them open, but nothing remained within. No fruit, no vegetables, not even some bugs, just wood and sand. Damn it! Aether felt fatigue hit again as hope was dashed. Layla looked ready to collapse out of sheer despair, her whine reflective of her dismay, though Nahida once again remained composed, though even she had a strained look on her face. With a grimace, Aether abandoned the crate and reluctantly poked around the others, unsurprised to find they were all robbed clean, given they were also ripped open. Had the Hillicurls done it, or did someone else or someone else come by before them and strip the place clean too? Possibly well in the same situation as they were. He didn't know, but after a long moment he could only sigh and try to bolster his own confidence, hoping to hope that a miracle would present itself for them. As if fate smiled upon, Paimon suddenly spoke up. Hey wait, there's a cooking pot over there. Jerking his head up, Aether need only sweep the area once before locating the pot just at the edge of camp. Hurrying over to it, he plucked at the lid and found, while the fire was out, the water within was still fairly clean, meaning it had only been abandoned somewhat recently. He had nearly attempted to take a big drink, but stalled his thoughts. Even if the water looked good, that didn't mean it was good to drink, and the last thing Aether needed was one or more of them getting sick while stranded. As was a curse, he slung his backpack off and fumbled about through his pockets, carelessly tossing objects out just to find the matches located at the very bottom. There was already a small pile of wood at the bottom of the pot, so he flicked a match along it as he was instructed, repeating the gesture hurriedly and causing the pyro dust along the match to spark once, twice, thrice, and then a flame came to life, quickly igniting the wood and expanding into a proper fire. The sight earning a cheer for Paimon and a small clap from Nahida. Layla, alas, was still hunched over the box and in no condition to celebrate with them. All right, boiled water. Paimon's enthusiasm went from high to low practically in a heartbeat. Her sigh despondent. I mean, it's something, right? Yeah, I guess. Aether stood and stared into the water, the liquid quickly starting to bubble. If only we had some meat. By chance, he glanced back at Layla. Bent over as she was, her butt was emphasized. The sight. Oh my god, dude. Even when I don't want to read smut, it's just smut. Or at least kind of smut. I'm sure there isn't sex scene, but. The sight, a slightly lewd one, but one that reminded him suddenly that Layla had a lot of meat on her bones. She might not be as curvy as Lisa or Eula, but she was hardly skinny, and the more he thought about it, the more he wanted to confirm that. To strip those clothes off and get a look at everything she had to offer. Dude, come on. Paimon seemed to share his thoughts and hardly wiped at her lips. Hey, Layla, could you come over here for a second? Ugh, yeah, I guess. Unsure but compliant, the astrologist stumbled over to them, tilting her head. She looked cute, charming, very, very delectable. Aether, you're staring at me awfully weird, huh? Faster than Layla could react, Aether grabbed her by the biceps and without a shred of hesitation shoved her into the pot of boiling water. Naturally, Layla flailed, her legs kicking wildly even as Aether grabbed them and forced them to bend, pushing her down into the bubbling pot. Jesus Christ. Even with the water, her wail of pain could be heard, any fatigue evaporating as quickly as the scalding water did. The second her feet were in the and he hefted the heavy lid up and slammed it down, holding it in place even as Layla kept struggling up. Jesus Christ! Okay. I mean, I knew this was coming, but I'm still... Jesus Christ. The lid jolting and shifting, but kept pinned, held by Payman's weight as she sat atop it. Hey, whose emergency food now? The fairy drooled, eyes fixated on the pot. The lid kept jumping and jolting, though, and if he strained his ears, he could still hear Lila crying out from within the pot. Wails of frantic terror giving way to wails of agony. The noise was familiar with how often she'd gotten hit in battles over the months he'd known her. Only these ones were so much more shrill and desperate. He didn't allow it to sway him, though. His hunger was from something meaty, keeping the lid down. It wasn't enough, though, as the lid lifted and Layla's hand jerked out, red and frankly clawing at the steel pot. But a good slap from Paimon sent it back inside the pot lid. The heavy steel slamming shut once more, not allowing any steam to escape the cauldron soon to host their dinner. However, meat alone wouldn't be enough. Tasty it to be, they needed more to make a good meal. They needed flavor. They needed vegetables. His eyes turned on to the nearest radish they had available. Nahida smiled up at him as warmly as ever. Aether? Aether slipped his hands on her arms, picking her up. Sorry about this, Nahida. It's alright. Sweetly, she patted his arm, completely understanding. Aether smiled, and then Paimon lifted the lid, and he chucked Nahida in, like the radish she truly was. Really? Really? She just accepted that shit? Really? Okay. I need to Google what she is, because there's probably some, like, she's probably like a vegetable. I just don't even know. You know? I don't know what that is, dude. She doesn't look like a fucking vegetable to me. Yeah, she looks like a fucking child. Are you really cannibalizing a child in here? Whatever. It's weird. It's weird as fuck. Hastily, Paimon slammed the lid down before the wailing Layla could escape, and Aether aided her by pressing it down too, keeping the lid as steady as they could, even as fists occasionally battered up against it. Any cryo-conjurations likewise failed to make a dent, either due to the pot's solid craftsmanship or just because it was too hot in there for any conjurations to form. If anything, the added ice would just allow for more liquid to boil. Then the smell hit, the delectable scent of pork mixed with the fragrances of fresh herbs courtesy of Nahida. The delightful smell only became sweeter by the second. The noise within the pot, too, calmed down. Cries for help and mercy lost to the gurgle of water, while the banging ceased as the ingredients mixed in with the liquid. Even still, he kept a firm hold on the lid, not allowing any steam to escape, even as the overwhelming smell of pork teased his nose. It smells so good, Paimon was openly drooling, eyes fixated on the pot. How much time passed, he wasn't sure, only that at some point his internal clock, trained over numerous hours of cooking by the campfire ovens, dinged, and with anticipation making him salivate, he yanked off the lid. Steam wafted up through his hair, and with it came the luxurious smell of soup, a lovely cream color with small chunks of perfectly tender meat floating in it. accompanied by small jugs of radishes and other unnameable leafy greens. The smell alone was heavenly, and when Paimon shoved a ladle in his face, he didn't even question where she got it, using it to scoop up a large spoonful and pour it into the bowl she hastily offered. The smell was so sublime he didn't even protest when she immediately started to drink, her ravenous hunger not unwarranted for once. Not bothering with a bowl, he brought the ladle to his lips, on imbibing the soup. Never seen that word before, honestly. The taste was hard to pinpoint, but was oddly like sticky honey roast, whilst the creaminess contrasted the familiar rawness of carrots. The meat easily melted in his mouth, and the taste of braised pork was divine. Several more chunks of what was once Layla gladly gulped down. Her clothes had vanished too, as had her bones, he noted. What the fuck is this? In fact, where did the carrots even come from? Hey there? Then he looked around. Layla? Oh, it's a dream. Okay, great. Paimon was gone, the desert was silent, and when he looked back, the pot of soup was gone too. The sun felt blindingly bright and only became more so by the second. A glare that devoured the world even as he shied away from it, grunting. And then when it dimmed, he found himself gazing up at the sun far above. What? Where am I? Paimon quickly filled his vision. Finally, Paimon never thought you'd wake up. Huh? Was all that Aether could slur out. His body felt stiff and his mind slowly connected the dots, aided when he tilted his head and found an uneaten Layla sitting on a crate, nibbling at a carrot. Not far away, a cluster of wandering traders huddled and bartered with one another. Some bottled water swapped for some preserved meats, while others stood around, talking about braised pork. Was I asleep? Aether vocalized his befuddlement. Indeed, Nahida spoke, and when he tilted his head, he found her frowning down at him. You passed out an hour ago from hunger. We ran into these kind strangers not long ago, and they helped us to their camp. Well, that's good. His stomach groaned at the thought of food. Are you still hungry? Paimon asked, only to immediately shake her head. What is Paimon saying? Of course you will. I'll be back in a second. Just you wait. Without another word, Paimon flew off over to where Layla was, babbling up something about food. Aether still laid in his bag, didn't have the strength to follow her, but he did have enough to look up at Nahida. A very unimpressed-looking Nahida, her frown both cute and somewhat unnerving to see on such a normally gentle god. Why does she look so... It clicked in his mind and his eyes widened. Oh. His realization must have shown as Nahida hummed. Indeed, I saw what you did in your dream. It wasn't real, though. Weakly, Jesus. Before Nahida could scold him further, Layla arrived, a pair of fruits in her arms. I'm glad you're right, traveler. Something wrong? Nothing, Nahida sternly remarked, eyeing him closely even as he frankly gestured to stop. Not unless you consider him dreaming of eating you. Out! Aether cut off hurriedly. Layla squeaked, freezing up. Like as in, yes, yeah, huh? Aether hastily sat up and took one of the fruits from her arms. Weird dream to have, huh? Guess I just thought of you in my last moments. Even though he meant it was a complete excuse to avoid the truth. The staring he got from Layla was endearing and helped ignore his scolding frown. That's crazy. Less than a year after the incident, Aether and Layla would end up with their first child and married shortly after, starting their family in Sumeru and later moving to Mondstadt. Layla remained unaware of Aether's dream all that time, though she did notice he liked to bite her a lot during their love. Oh, Jesus Christ. Not that she paid it much mind, of course. What was he going to do? Eat her? Inspired in part by the Kali verses was do you expect me to explore cannibalism and other semi-lewd themes in the future too? We suppose for others. Okay. What is Kaliverse? First of all, my first thing I need to bring up. What is Kaliverse? Second of all, it wasn't as bad as it was at one point. At one point, dude, I thought I was genuinely reading about a child getting cannibalized. That shit freaked me out. But as soon as he woke up, I was like, ah. Okay. What's Kaliverse? Okay, so it's just some, Kali is a playable character. I don't know what that is, but, it got me interested in the characters. That was good. I mean, that was good. That was good. If I had to say it, it got me interested in some darker themes. I want to cover some darker themes rather than just. I feel like every video I've covered is just sex, and I don't like that. So, obviously, with fan fictions and reading fan fictions, sex has a place on this channel, I guess. I don't know if I want to say it like that, but sex has a place, and it's gonna be for bad fan fictions, obviously. But that was great. Thank you all for watching, and I appreciate you. See you next time. Bye.